Peas are one of the earlier spring vegetables that I look forward to every year, and this recipe uses peas and lettuce, which is a traditional way to eat peas. However, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Because the peas weren't quite ready, I'm actually going to use frozen peas. So what we have here are the two examples of peas that you can find in the market. These are baby peas, sometimes called petite peas or petit pois in French, and you can see how much larger they are than the traditional size of pea. Both of them are still frozen, so there's a little bit of ice, but what I wanted you to notice was the difference in size. The other thing that this recipe uses are pearl onions, and the pearl onions that were available to me are a little bit larger than what you normally see. You can also get these frozen, and that would speed your recipe along a little bit, but the fresh ones are just kind of fun to prepare, and they're easy to prepare as well. You put 2-3 cups of water into a saucepan. When it comes to a boil, put these in, let them boil for about 1 minute, then pull them out and put them in ice water. So you're basically just giving them a good blanch. And then when they're cool enough to handle, cut the root end off so that it's no longer attached, and then just slip the peel off. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of the stem end off that you can cut off with a little bit of scissors. I'd recommend a knife, but having tried that, they're so slippery at that point that the scissors work much better. What we're going to do for this particular recipe of peas and lettuce is we're going to start the pan on to a medium heat. And I'm going to, when it gets just a smidgen warm, I'm going to put into it a tablespoon of either olive oil or vegetable oil. If you like the flavor of olive oil, this is a real nice combination here to go ahead and use olive oil because it does develop a little bit more flavor. Extra virgin olive oil you want to steer clear of on this because we're going to add about a half a cup of our blanched and peeled pearl onions to our dish, and we're going to let that cook for about 8 minutes. And if you use an extra virgin olive oil, it's possible that you're going to get some smoking. It's got a lower smoke point. So this is going to cook for about 8 minutes or so. You want them to get a little bit brown in spots or golden in spots, so you want to stir them, turn them over every few minutes. But they can pretty much sit on their own for a little bit. Okay, you can see the onions have gotten a little bit golden, a little bit brown. You want to make sure that they don't get too brown. Now, if these onions are larger than you think you want to use, you could cut them into halves. If you do that, try to make sure that you keep some of the root so that they will stay together a little bit better. And if you don't have any kind of pearl onions, you could use other types of onions, yellow onions, white onions. You could even use a little bit of red onion. This is 2 cups of peas. And I wanted to put those in before I put some of the other things in there. I wanted to stir them together and get some of the flavors going. Now, again, if you don't have the petite peas, you could use the regular peas. They're going to probably require you to cook them a little bit longer, but they will still work. I'm going to add to that a tablespoon of flat parsley that's been chopped up and a tablespoon of mint. And spearmint will actually work a little bit better on this recipe than peppermint will. The peppermint's got a little bit more of a pronounced flavor, so you may want to play with that a little bit, and if you decide there's too much and it's too overwhelming, add in half and see how it goes. Turn the heat up just a little bit. Now I've got about 3 to 4 cups of lettuce. Now, if you have a butterhead lettuce or a baby lettuce, I wouldn't use an iceberg lettuce or a romaine. You want something that's already pretty soft and pretty tender. And then just wash it up well. You don't have to worry about drying it like you would with a salad because we're not going to put a dressing on it that we need to stick, and it's going to get a little bit more water put on it in a minute anyway. So stir those together. And then in order to help the peas cook a little bit, I'm going to add just a little bit of water, somewhere between a half to 1 cup of water. And then keep an eye on it. We're going to bring that to a boil, but keep an eye on this. We don't want it to go dry, but I don't want to have a lot of water that's going to have to be drained off later and take with it all these flavors that we've put in already. This is going to wilt the lettuce down. We'll be able to see the peas a lot more and the onions a lot more. This again is going to cook anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. Once it's at a boil, turn it down and cover it. Okay, after it has cooked for just a little while, if you have excess water at that point, then you can go ahead and drain it away in a colander. The other alternative is to leave it a little bit less than the 5 minutes, open the pan and let that extra liquid evaporate. I want to add to this, just drizzle over it about 1.5 teaspoons of that olive oil again, because we've drained some of it away originally. I've got 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And notice that I'm using kosher salt as opposed to regular table salt, and that's because the crystals are larger so that I have less sodium because it doesn't fall into the teaspoon in the same way. Now this is optional. If you decide that you don't want to use the sodium or the salt, you can. And then also 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. We'll turn the heat off on this and stir them together to get those flavors blended. And that's all there is to this one. It comes together really quickly. You can do the onion preparation ahead of time, or as I said, you could use a frozen product, so that would speed it up as well. It's a great accompaniment and something, because particularly if you're using fresh produce in the springtime, it just makes spring feel like it's really here. This is Peas and Lettuce. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.